Hey guys, this is a follow-up video to my original raid loot guide. Since that video wasn't exactly great and I still get tons of comments and questions about it, I'm redoing it to include all the information I've learned over the past few months, and thanks to Bungie's new update to the raid, we now have a way to reset checkpoints, making it so much easier to grab those raid loot chests. Also, for anyone thinking this is or will be patched, it won't be, because it's not an exploit or a glitch. Well, technically in the second part of the video we do have a bit of cheesing, but if Bungie really cared about this, they would have patched this months ago when I uploaded the original video. They implemented the Wall of Wishes feature. The game didn't just create it by itself, and they made it teleport you right nearby the chest, so I think they would have made it impossible to get back to the chest if they really didn't want players getting these items. Throughout the video, I'll be going over a bunch of really important information, so don't just skip around and then go to the comments and ask a question. I guarantee you I'll have answered it by the end of this video. First things first, load up the Last Wish raid. There's no power requirement since we won't be fighting any enemies, and you can do this as soon as you've unlocked the Dreaming City as a destination. We'll be utilizing an awesome feature within the raid called the Wall of Wishes, and all of this can be done completely solo or with friends. When you enter into the lobby, you'll hear some dialogue, and then a small hatch in the side of the wall will open up. Take this all the way past the first encounter room and through the short jumping section. If you're struggling to make these jumps, just use a sword so you can see in third person. I'm going to be doing this whole video on my Warlock since it's my least played character and the one I'm worst at, so if I can do all of this on my Warlock, I assure you it's possible on any character. Now that we're at the Wall of Wishes, let's go over a few things. Number 1, don't use any weapons with explosive rounds or ricochet rounds. The explosive round will activate any surrounding plates, and the ricochet round will obviously ricochet and hit other plates. This is going to make it very hard to enter the patterns we'll be using, so my recommendation is to use 2 auto rifles or pulse rifles that don't have these perks to make it easier on yourself. Although you can really use any weapons you want. There's going to be a giant glowing plate in front of you on the floor. Don't accidentally step on it until you've entered this code. This here is the pattern you'll need to enter by shooting each plate on the wall until you get to the correct symbol. You don't need to go in any specific order, just make sure you end up with this exact pattern. One of the comments I saw most often on those old videos was, "This code doesn't work, I've tried it 5 times. The one and only reason why it wouldn't work is because you entered in the wrong symbols. I've done this so many times I can't even keep track anymore, and the only times it failed was because I had a wrong symbol entered. Some of them do look alike, so make sure when you're about to step on the glowing plate to enter it in, that everything is correct. Just aim down sights and go row by row, checking if the symbols are in the same place as this picture. Oh yeah, and before I forget, thanks again to Rainbow for the super helpful graphic. Absolutely go check out his amazing site Idle Animations in the description. These pictures have been so handy, and I'm super grateful he gave me the okay to use them. Once you have the correct pattern entered, stand on the floor and then the game will kill you and teleport you directly to Shirochi's spawn. From here, turn around and head towards the giant rock. This route can be traversed by any class, and you don't need any special exotics or specific mobility stats to make it. I'm using a sword here so I can see much easier in third person. If you're struggling with parkour, I'd highly recommend having a sword on you. You can actually just make the jump from here, or jump up like I am right now, and then run off from this area. From here, just follow the path I'm going to take, and it will take you right to the chest. Now, both this chest and the next one I'm going to show you do not drop powerful gear. And listen up, because this question was asked 1,000 times last video. Both the chests in this video can only be looted once per character per week. You can get all of the raid loot out of this chest except for 1,000 voices, curated roles, and raid cosmetics. You can get all of the armor, and it can roll with enhanced perks, and you can also get god roll weapons. You can also use this chest to get raid mods, which sometimes come attached on the armor and weapons. All you have to do is then dismantle the item to get the mod. So you got your first chest, but now you're stuck at this checkpoint every time you load in. How the heck do you get back to enter in a new wish? Thankfully, Bungie has added a life-saving feature first introduced in Destiny 1, the reset ability for raids. When you go to orbit and click on the Last Wish raid, there will be a small icon over the launch button. Hovering over that icon and holding the interact button will reset any checkpoint you currently have. If this button does not show up, it means you don't have a checkpoint. Resetting the raid will spawn you at the very beginning, which means you can go load back in and head back to the Wall of Wishes. You can reset the raid as many times as you'd like as well, there's no limit. So how do we get the second raid chest? Well, we'll need to teleport to the Morgoth checkpoint, and here's the code for that. Now for this chest, you might want to bring some raid banners if you're going to be trying out these methods for the first time. And hunters, I'm very sorry, the only way you guys can get this chest is if you know a Titan or Warlock kind enough to spawn you into the first Spire area, which I'll show in just a minute. For Warlocks, what you'll need is Nova Warp, the Worldline Zero exotic sword, which you can get from the Warmind DLC quest. If you don't know how to get that, just search it on YouTube, Worldline Zero Guide. You could also do this on Top Tree Dawnblade, but Nova Warp is much easier for me. And Titans, all you need is a generic sword that has a normal swing animation and the exotic boots Lion Rampant. This is a year 1 exotic, so if you don't have it, I'm sure Xur will sell it eventually. For the sword, you can just choose a Buy the Return, which is the Dreaming City one, or It Stared Back, which is a year 1 Leviathan raid. Really, any normal sword works. So I'll show how to get to the chest first on Warlock and how to spawn in friends, and then we'll take a look at how to do it on a Titan. Make sure, along with the Nova Warp subclass, you're using Burst Glide. What you want to do is, when you're sprinting with the Worldline Zero sword towards the edge of the bridge, right as you're about to fall off the bridge, you want to hit the heavy attack button, which sends you into the Tesseract ability. And during the split second your character disappears from the screen, you want to quickly double tap the jump button. When timed right, you'll be launched very fast in the direction you were facing. Note that the status Temporal Sprint has to appear on your screen to do the Tesseract heavy attack. You want to have hit the rally flag before launching yourself so that you have a full super and can make it the rest of the way across the chasm. Once you start running out of momentum and around the time you hit the turn back zone is when you want to pop your super and use the teleport ability to teleport forward. Don't spam it too fast or else you'll burn up all of your energy. Teleport once and then wait until you start to fall and then teleport again. You should have enough super energy to teleport all the way across and land on the bridge safely. Once you land, if you head to the right and walk through this rocky corridor, outside above this tree is where the second chest is. But first I'll show you how to spawn in other players and any hunter friends you may have. If you are going to spawn in other players, make sure not to open the raid chest until everyone is loaded in. The raid chest does have a despawn timer, so keep that in mind if you have more than one person who needs to open the chest. Follow where I'm going on screen until you load into a new zone called the First Spire. Once you've loaded in, stay here and invite anyone you want. And don't leave this zone until they spawn. Once they've loaded in, backtrack by climbing up the tree we jumped past on our way down, and returning to the outside area where we were looking at before. Once you've loaded back into the Keep of Voices zone, if anyone here dies, you'll need to revive them, otherwise the game wipes you, and you'll all be spawned at the Morgoth checkpoint, so make sure not to die. Once outside, use a sword again if you need help seeing where you're jumping to, and climb up this tree onto these grassy platforms and make your way over to the second and final chest. Now for Titans. Put on those Lion Rampant exotic boots and put on your sword, and you can use any subclass as long as you're using the Catapult lift jump. I'd recommend Thunder Crash because you can actually use the super to save you if you mess up. Here's how to Titan Swordfly, which is what we're going to need to do to get across the chasm. You jump off an elevated place, but you don't hold that jump. Instead, you cut it off quickly by pressing the jump button a second time. Once you begin to fall, you swing your sword. Wait until the swing animation has completely finished, following that by a second jump shortly after. I'll narrate the buttons you need to be pressing right now. Jump, jump, swing. Jump, jump, swing. Jump, jump, swing. Jump, jump, swing. That's how you sword fly. You can stretch out each jump a little longer if you need to, leaving about a half a second or a little more in between jumps. Just make sure not to only press the jump button once and have your boosters running the entire time, because when you go to swing again, you won't have any boost left for another jump. And if you try and jump too soon after swiping your sword, you will just fall. I'd recommend practicing this before you jump out over the chasm, so in case you mess up, you don't have to wait for the wipe screen. Once you've mastered sword flying, put down a rally flag and sprint off the edge of the bridge, and use this technique to make it to the other side. The more height you get, the better, so that you can get over the soft kill zone. Just keep in mind that if you get too much height like I did in this video, the game will force you downwards, which at this point you should already be across and can let yourself drop or use your super to land safely. And now you can grab the chest. So that's how to get both chests on each character in the raid and get free raid loot. If for some reason you still have a question after all of the info I packed into this one, leave it in the comments and I will answer it, but If it is a question I've already covered in this video, you're on your own. I tried my best to keep this as short as possible while still showing only the important information, and I think this is the final raid loot video for Last Wish I'll ever have to make now. Good luck getting all of those raid items, and I'll see you all in the next video.